Hello everybody and welcome to the Daily Review, episode number 279 for Monday, January 11th, 2010. And the film I'm going to be reviewing for you guys today is Trucker. Trucker is written and directed by first-time writer-director James Modern? I don't know, M-O-T-T-E-R-N, in case you were looking him up. And the film stars Michelle Monaghan, Nathan Fillion, Benjamin Bratt, a small part from Joey Lauren Adams, and her son played by Jimmy Bennett. Trucker is kind of a small, quiet, indie character piece about this trucker named Diane, who she goes on these long hauls. She lives kind of a sad, lonely life. She finds out that her ex-husband has come down with cancer, and she has to take care of her son, who she hasn't seen in X number of years. And through that, they kind of start to develop a quote-unquote mother-son relationship. And Trucker pretty much goes in fairly expected directions, but some that are a little surprising, I would say. You know, going into a film like Trucker, I always get very nervous and concerned that it's going to be that type of film. And what I mean by that type of film is that there are tons of movies out there like this, such as Frozen River. I'd probably put Wendy and Lucy up there, Ballast, just films that are really small and quiet, and to most people, quote-unquote, nothing happens. But, I mean, stuff is obviously happening emotionally and things like that in the film, but it's a film that could be considered boring by most. And it's a film type of film that I always get scared that they're gonna go too over the top with certain scenes. It was my fear with a movie like Precious, which was confirmed when Monique was constantly saying, you know, I wish I aborted you, and things like that. And for the most part, Trucker kind of steers away from it. But however, there are little glimpses and instances where it is a quote-unquote Tang and popcorn sort of a film. Why am I saying quote-unquote so much? It's a phrase, though, Tang and popcorn, that Leland and I have coined over at nitpickit.com, basically saying that in Frozen River there's a scene where they actually eat Tang and popcorn, just to be like, oh, Mom, Tang and popcorn again? It's like, I get it, you're poor, you don't need to tell me that you are eating Tang and popcorn. But Trucker is a pretty solid film, and I think it's for a few reasons. One, Michelle Monaghan is pretty superb in the lead role. She really doesn't really go too over the top as far as emotions and stuff are concerned, but she does the role flawlessly. I mean, I've seen her in things before where it's almost like watching a different person on the screen. I mean, she was in Maid of Honor, for crying out loud, and now she's doing this really small, independent film. Nathan Fillion also adds some very much needed comic relief, and he has a charm about him that's very palpable in the film, I guess I would say. The kid, Jimmy Bennett, is at times quite good, but at times he's also really bad. There's a lot of times where his character calls his mom a bitch, and it sounds very forced, and like this kid has never spoken these words before. That's a minor nitpick. But the film goes in some pretty solid directions, not necessarily like by the numbers or anything like that. But there are moments in the film where, like in Frozen River and like in Precious, they say a few things that are kind of overdone. Michelle Monaghan, I think, at one point says, I never wanted to have you, to him. There's also a point where she's dropping off her truck and the guy doesn't want to pay her, and she's like, oh, don't worry, I'll be getting rid of him in a month. And then they cut to the next scene, he's like, you're getting rid of me in a month, huh? Stuff like that. Also, the ending to this film, I mean, I think the ending is very nice, but the scene right before the ending does not need to be in there. I feel like it's a film that isn't really about action and not really about, you know, a lot of intense. I feel like all the intensity from the movie comes from subdued and performances and something from within the person, not necessarily an outward action. And that people that have seen it know what I'm talking about, but there's an instance that happens at the end. Too much. You don't need to do that to show me the pain and suffering that this woman is going through. But all of this being said, I think Trucker is an okay movie. I mean, if you were thinking about seeing it, I would recommend you see it. If you've never heard of this movie before, there's probably a reason for that. But I give Trucker a 3.5 out of 5. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. I'll be back tomorrow with another one for you. Wow, can't talk.